Well, this is the report from the Working Group on Anti-Semitism on campus and in the universities, where we had Kenneth Marcus, Catherine Chatley, Manfred Gerstenfeld and Gil Troy, and it may well be an additional recommendation that perhaps we should lock these four in a room, provide them with writing materials, computer and refreshments, because I think if they were to be there long enough they would come up with some very effective solutions between them that would be a template. And so perhaps we ought to be encouraging that kind of high-level debate between those who have studied these matters extensively. And I would like to thank all four for their contributions. We had 5 specific recommendations. The first recommendation is that we should all be employing best practice, and we should be spreading best practice in relation to dealing with the problems in the universities. And it may well be that this body is one that can assist in disseminating examples of best practice, of what is succeeding and how it is succeeding, so that not just analysing the problem, but also looking at where the problem has been beaten back. And there are such good examples and such best practice. Perhaps as an institution we would like to actually be producing a publication on best practice, the successes that we've had, because such best practice does exist and needs disseminating with explanations of why it's succeeding. Secondly, our recommendation is that we will need local solutions. In other words, a flexibility of approach, that different universities have different systems, different cultures in different countries, and therefore in spreading from our first recommendation best practice, we shouldn't be looking for uniform solutions, but we should be bearing in mind the need for localised solutions that fit best the local conditions. Third recommendation, that we should be empowering people through systems which can be monitored. And by people I think we mean in particular students and Jewish students, so that the Jewish students who come to us, and we've heard very vividly, not least from a whole series of Canadian politicians, of their experience in their ridings and in their universities. But these are situations we're all getting across the world, that we're empowering those students through clear systems that they can use to address issues, but systems that the outside world, including we, the parliamentarians, can monitor, because those systems are written down, are transparent, are available to all. Fourthly, that in terms of regulations in universities, there's no need for over-regulation, but there's some need for some conformity, which links to our 5th recommendation of creating a culture where anti-Semitism is seen as important as any other hassle that any student might receive on campus. And the reason for putting those 2 recommendations together is it was a clear view coming through the working group that in the same way that universities have systems for dealing with, for example, sexual harassment in the universities, clear systems transparent systems, systems that can be analysed and monitored from the outside, that in exactly the same way it is possible to have systems that are written down, that are transparent, that fit the local situation, that allow the Jewish student to raise any issue of concern, any hassle, any problems, any discrimination in exactly the same way, and have an expectation of action being taken with the outside world, as we can do for any university institution that would ignore issues, for example, of dealing with sexual harassment, that we can hold them to account in the various different ways in our countries. So they are our 5 recommendations, but I'll just add one other point because it's relevant, because a number of delegates have asked me just for an update on the situation. I'll give you an update on the situation in Britain today, this very day, because it comes from the website of those who organise the boycott campaigns on Israel in the universities. And today they're celebrating the fact that one of our friends has been thrown out of the British Parliament wrongly, and I think illegally, by the courts. And in their diatribe today, they've also now included me in this, just to demonstrate where they're coming from. And these are the people who are the organisers of the boycott campaigns in Britain that everyone has heard of and that many, many people have commented on here and before. And therefore, I again urge, we had good news as well this morning, that we have time to appeal this decision, and we are doing so. We've launched today a fund, the creation of a fighting fund to get the money to fight the appeal within the next 2 weeks. But these issues cross over, because I repeat what I said yesterday, we need some victories and best practice from the universities, small successes that people have had, we should share with one another so we can build the confidence of these young Jewish people, these young Jewish students in the universities across the world. So where people have success, please, however small, share it with all of us.